Right, let's do activity 311 for existence of God and revelation. And the question is, for each of the following attributes of God, explain what it might mean for Christians in their lives today. One has been done for you as an example. So this is basically an influence question. And you might wonder why there's an influence question in a theme question, because we normally have two contrasting views. And my best answer can be that this question on God's nature relates heavily to Christian belief. And in Christian belief, there we need to form our question for influence. So, and there wasn't very much on these terms under Christian belief. So actually, it helps us here. But in Christian belief, the question is how it influences us. So it's good that we need to learn this. So the first one is omnipotent, it's done for us. And the next one is omniscient. So let me speak a little bit about omniscient. Omniscient means the fact that God is all-knowing. And that means that he knows everything past, present, and future. He basically has perfect knowledge. And how that influences us, for instance, when things are tough, then when things are tough in our world, then we know that God are aware of all our problems, and he is there to help us see through them. That's one way he can influence us. So we always feel that we're never alone. Another thing is to do prayer, because he is all around us. He knows and listens to our prayers, because he's all-knowing, and he also knows what we should do, which means he also can guide us. And he answers prayer, of course, with guidance. And then judgment. When it comes to judgment at the end of the world, he has perfect knowledge of all our good things and bad things, and will, and for that reason, will judge us fairly. And if we confess our sins, then it's okay, because God already knows. So there's nothing you say to God which God didn't already know, but you have to admit to it, of course. And lastly is that he can comfort us and guide us, because he has no knowledge. So that is the idea of how it influences us that God has omniscience. The second verse is the idea that God is personal, and this one here, there's actually only personal. But if you go on the next page, on page 59, you can also see this idea of he's impersonal. So personal goes to the idea that he is he's immanent, or in the world, or at least that he listens to us. So personal is the idea that he is a conscious, sentient being. So a conscious being is aware of himself. So you are conscious, you're aware of yourself, and you have a conscience, so you know what's going around you. Sentient, you also have feelings. So when you talk about a personal God, then it's the one who's aware of that he is God and you are you, and he's also aware of what's going on around you. And a personal God is one who can be upset and happy for you. So if you don't do what you're told, he's upset, and if you are doing what you're doing, he's happy. So for instance, let's see how it means he has you can have a personal relationship with this God. He'll understand you, because he has qualities of love, compassion, intelligence, and understanding. So that's why you can have a personal relationship with this kind of person. You can have direct interaction and direct communication through worship. He will hear you. And through prayer, he'll answer your prayers. And last thing is that he can be actively involved in your lives. You can experience God's presence in your lives. So you can feel God in your lives. He will be helping you. So that's an example of God being personal in your life. The third word is the word immanent. And immanent is that he is present within creation. And you can see that in the creativity in the world, through nature. You can experience in the world, within the world every day. So, for instance, and I think what we're talking about here, we're talking about God, the Spirit. So God the Spirit of a Trinity, God the Father outside the world, Jesus was in and outside the world, and God the Spirit is all around us. So that's the idea of God being immanent. So that means you can interact with God. You can experience Him through nature. So that's like a general revelation, as you can see that God has planned it all. You can see through other people. You might not have felt His touch, but other people have, and you can see how they act and how they have this kind of confidence about them. That is one way that you can say they've been hit by the Spirit. And you can also have through personal experience where you feel maybe your prayer has been answered and so forth. And then the most important of them all is from Isaiah 7:14, where he says that therefore God will give you a sign: a virgin will conceive and bear a son. He shall be called Emmanuel. So that is that is the last thing I want to say about it. So there's God the Spirit, of course, all around us, but then God the Son came down to earth and lived among us for about 33 years before he went up again, and that was also God among us. His name was Emmanuel because that means God with you. So the fact that Jesus was called Emmanuel was that he is meant to be God with us. So we had God with us for 33 years, and that means he was immanent at that point in time. And then after that, he left the world again, and then he's transcendent beyond our world, outside our physical realms. And that gives it to the fourth world. The fourth world is transcendent. And transcendent means two things. It first of all means beyond and above creation, existing outside the physical realm. The second thing it means is that he's beyond our understanding. And those two goes hand in hand. Because he's outside physical realm, he's also beyond our understanding. But they are kind of two different things, but they go hand in hand. And that how that influence Christians is they do not try to understand God, and they do not try to understand his ways. So, and there's a good quote for that. For Isaiah, once again Isaiah, he says, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways." So when Isaiah goes up and meet God, God says this to him, that my thoughts are not your thoughts and your ways not my ways. And that shows how completely, utterly different God is to us. And that means we should just trust God, that he has it all under control. That influences them, because humans just think, well, we can't really work it all out. So, but because God is so much more than us, he can. That means he is transcendent. The other thing about transcendent is that it can sometimes feel that can you interact really with him? That kind of idea, because he's a bit beyond it. And that's why, for instance, God, he speaks to Moses through a bush. So he also has to speak through him through a medium. And the last word is benevolence. So that means he's good, kind, and in a disposition to do good. He always wants to do good, God. He always has a good intention. It's not always you can see it, but God works in mysterious ways, and it always is good in the end. And that means that how does it influence Christians? Humans are thankful that God sent down Jesus to overcome our sins, and he sent out Jesus and as a sacrifice for our sins. And we're also happy for God is giving us a life-giving world that we can breathe in and live and so forth. And this means that the Christians they will imitate God in our lives. So that means that we will be kind to others, we will show compassion to others, we will forgive others, and we will live a life of service towards others. And let's see if there's one more thing here. And that means also we can overcome fear and anxiety, because we have this knowledge that the benevolent God is there for us and will help us. So that's it. 5 terms of how they influence Christians today. Cheers. Thanks. Bye.